The apparition at Mamre. Yahweh appeared to him at the oak of Mamre, while he was sitting by the entrance of the tent during the hottest part of the day. He looked up, and there he saw 3 men standing near him. As soon as he saw them, he ran from the entrance of the tent to meet them and bowed to the ground. "My lord," he said, "I beg you, if I find favor with you, kindly do not pass your servant by. A little water shall be brought. You shall wash your feet and lie down under the tree. Let me fetch a little bread, and you shall refresh yourselves before going further. That is why you have come in your servant's direction." They replied, "Do as you say." Abraham hastened to the tent to find Sarah. "Hurry," he said. "Knead 3 bushels of flour and make loaves." Then running to the cattle, Abraham took a fine and tender calf and gave it to the servant, who hurried to prepare it. Then taking cream, milk, and the calf he had prepared, he laid all before them, and they ate while he remained standing near them under the tree. "Where is your wife, Sarah?" they asked him. "She is in my tent," he replied. Then his guest said, "I shall visit you again next year without fail, and your wife will then have a son." Sarah was listening at the entrance of the tent behind him. Now, Abraham and Sarah were old, well on in years, and Sarah had ceased to have her monthly periods. So Sarah laughed to herself, thinking, "Now that I am past the age of childbearing, and my husband is an old man, is pleasure to come my way again?" But Yahweh asked Abraham, "Why did Sarah laugh and say, 'Am I really going to have a child now that I am old?' Is anything too wonderful for Yahweh? At the same time next year, I shall visit you again, and Sarah will have a son." "I did not laugh," Sarah said, lying because she was afraid. But he replied, "Oh yes, you did laugh." From there the men set out. Abraham intercedes. From there the men set out and arrived within sight of Sodom, with Abraham accompanying them to show them the way. Now Yahweh had wondered, "Shall I conceal from Abraham what I am going to do, seeing that Abraham will become a great nation, with all the nations of the earth blessing themselves by him? For I have singled him out to command his sons and his household after him to maintain the way of Yahweh by just and upright living. In this way Yahweh will carry out for Abraham what he has promised him." Then Yahweh said, "How great an outcry there is against Sodom and Gomorrah! How grievous is their sin! I propose to go down and see whether or not they have done all that is alleged in the outcry against them that has come up to me. I am determined to know." The men left there and went to Sodom, while Abraham remained standing before Yahweh. Approaching him, he said, "Are you really going to destroy the just man with the sinner? Perhaps there are 50 just men in the town. Will you really overwhelm them? Will you not spare the place for the 50 just men in it? Do not think of doing such a thing, to kill the just man with the sinner, treating just and sinner alike. Do not think of it. Will the judge of the whole earth not administer justice?" Yahweh replied, "If at Sodom I find 50 just men in the town, I will spare the place because of them." Abraham replied, "I am bold indeed to speak like this to my Lord, I who am dust and ashes. But perhaps the 50 just men lack 5. Will you destroy the whole city for 5? "No," he replied, "I will not destroy it if I find 45 just men there." Again Abraham said to him, "Perhaps there will only be 40 there. "I will not do it," he replied, "for the sake of the 40. Abraham said, "I trust my Lord will not be angry, but give me leave to speak. Perhaps there will only be 30 there." "I will not do it," he replied, "if I find 30 there." He said, "I am bold indeed to speak like this, but perhaps there will only be 20 there." "I will not destroy it," he replied, "for the sake of the 20. He said, "I trust my Lord will not be angry if I speak once more. Perhaps there will only be 10. "I will not destroy it," he replied, "for the sake of the 10. When he had finished talking to Abraham, Yahweh went away, and Abraham returned home. The destruction of Sodom. When the 2 angels reached Sodom in the evening, Lot was sitting at the gate. As soon as Lot saw them, he rose to meet them and bowed to the ground. "I beg you, my lords," he said, "please come down to your servant's house to stay the night and wash your feet. Then in the morning you can continue your journey." "No," they replied, "we can spend the night in the open street." But he pressed them so much that they went home with him and entered his house. He prepared a meal for them, baking unleavened bread, and they ate. They had not gone to bed when the house was surrounded by the men of the town, the men of Sodom, both young and old, all the people without exception. Calling to Lot, they said, "Where are the men who came to you tonight? Send them out to us, so that we may abuse them." Lot came out to them at the door, and having closed the door behind him, said, "I beg you, my brothers, do no such wicked thing. Listen, I have 2 daughters who are virgins. I am ready to send them out to you, to treat as it pleases you. But as for the men, do nothing to them, for they have come under my roof, under the shadow of my roof." But they replied, "Out of the way. Here is one who came as a foreigner and would set himself up as a judge. Now we will treat you worse than them." Then they forced Lot back and moved forward to break down the door. But the men reached out, pulled Lot back into the house, and shut the door. And they struck the men who were at the door of the house with blindness, from youngest to oldest, and they never found the doorway. The men said to Lot, "Have you anyone else here? Your sons, your daughters, and all your people in this town. Take them out of the place. We are about to destroy this place. For there is a great outcry against them, and it has reached Yahweh, and Yahweh has sent us to destroy them." Lot went to speak to his future sons-in-law, who were to marry his daughters. "Come," he said, "leave this place, for Yahweh is about to destroy the town." But his sons-in-law thought he was joking. When dawn broke, the angels urged Lot, "Come, take your wife and these 2 daughters of yours, or you will be overwhelmed in the punishment of the town." And as he hesitated, the men took him by the hand, and his wife and his 2 daughters, because of the pity Yahweh felt for him. They led him out and left him outside the town. As they were leading him out, he said, "Run for your life. Neither look behind you, nor stop anywhere on the plain. Make for the hills if you would not be overwhelmed." "No, I beg you, my lord," Lot said to them. "Your servant has won your favor, and you have shown great kindness to me in saving my life. But I could not reach the hills before this calamity overtook me, and death with it. The town over there is near enough to flee to, and is a little one. Let me make for that. Is it not little? And my life will be saved." He answered, "I grant you this favor too, and will not destroy the town you speak of. Hurry, escape to it, for I can do nothing until you reach it." That is why the town is named Zoar. As the sun rose over the land and Lot entered Zoar, Yahweh rained on Sodom and Gomorrah brimstone and fire from Yahweh. He overthrew these towns and the whole plain with all the inhabitants of the towns and everything that grew there. But the wife of Lot looked back and was turned into a pillar of salt. Rising early in the morning, Abraham went to the place where he had stood before Yahweh, and looking towards Sodom and Gomorrah and across all the plain, he saw smoke rising from the land like smoke from a furnace. Thus it was that when God destroyed the towns of the plain, he kept Abraham in mind and rescued Lot out of the disaster when he overwhelmed the towns where Lot lived.